Okay, we're on the air. This is the OSRA Scrum for Tuesday, April 28th, 2015. Here we have the usual crew of Christian, Gabrielle, and myself. And Gabrielle, let's start with you.
Well, I was working on the 307 pack. Uh, to be honest, I started in yesterday, and then when today I was trying to test it or run the server, and I get an error because the migration about the model because you are working in a work about change some aspects in the model. So basically, it gets stuck. But I will be waiting to 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 finish. I think Christian finish the or finish his tasks to fix the error and try to finish my.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, Christian, do you want to talk about that then?
Yes, so we had a problem with the migration, about the enums migration, and let me share the screen maybe.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this migration add status enums to orphan had a problem because the orphan.rb model from Rails was deleted, and this orphan status, oh sorry, the orphan status model was deleted from the model, and orphan status wasn't accessible anymore. So we had to access the orphan status directly through SQL.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm getting the code from there.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
and the same thing for the sponsorship status. So these
Right.
two models were replaced with enums. So I thought this would be the solution to fix it. If you guys, I don't know, comment on it.
Yeah, I initially was worried that since the original PR got pushed out already they got merged in and pushed out to our testing server.
Yes, I noticed it's crashing. The orphan is crashing. You click orphan.
Yeah. So I was wondering what would happen, but the migration basically didn't run. And in fact, I just logged into the Heroku console just at the start of our recording here, and I tried to run the RakeDB migrate, and it throws the same error that I guess you guys are seeing locally. So what that means is that the migration didn't run, and the subsequent migrations didn't run either. So the reason I was worried about it is that as part of that pull request, there are also other migrations that actually drop the orphan sponsorship status and orphan status tables. But those migrations come after, and so they were not applied. So the tables exist, even though the models have been deleted. So yeah, this approach I think should work. We can just merge in your pull request, push it out, and then I think everything should work okay.
And I also added some I don't know, data for the backwards migration of the other migrations.
Yeah, you know,
this is not really necessary. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's good style. I agree with that. The reason I remember looking at these things and choosing not to do it was because they are simply adding something like, for example, father alive is kind of meaningless in this context because we'll already change the whole application
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
Deceased, and you would need to repopulate the father alive column if you wanted to put it back in. So just simply re-adding it is, doesn't really accomplish all that much.
yeah, I'm also reading this book. I think it's in the actually it's in the Ruby design patterns, but they say to never rely on migrations down, never go back, never reverse migrations,
Yeah, well, I
because
can tell you that. Yeah,
that
sorry, go ahead.
that will open the hell.
Hmm.
Will mess up the application so bad that you have to reset everything.
Yeah, I can certainly imagine that, considering the trouble
And
that I've had.
yeah, and what they suggest, if you have to go backwards, you just create a new migration and go forward, and
Right.
a reverse migration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, the sort of the counterpoint to this is that at Thoughtbot, they make it a rule to apply each migration, reverse it, and then apply it again,
Really?
to the point where they actually have these Git, what are they called, aliases, where,
Well,
sorry, not Git, I guess, these are just Z shell aliases, that instead of basically, typing it out by hand each time, they have one single command that say, something like rake apply migration, that will run it
well,
up, run it down, and then run it up again.
yes, I see, but sometimes you have to change the seeds also. How do you reverse this?
I
Here,
suppose you just write it all out by hand.
well, yeah, but you have to do it in the migration, right? Because
Yeah.
you
So
removed orphan status and orphan sponsorship status from here. And
yeah.
how do
So
you do that from the migration?
um, could you not? Is there any reason not to do it?
Well, you have to do it if you want to reverse and
Yeah.
go forward again. You have to add this back, the orphan status, because you have to populate you need the code from the orphan.
Yeah, but you could put this into the migration, could you not?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. But I think that's basically, if you want everything to be fully reversible, then well, actually no, wait a minute. I don't think migrations apply in this case, do they? Because um, seed data comes after migrations are run. So seed data is not a part of the process.
Yes, but you deleted this seed data here.
Well, I deleted the seeds, and I mean, I understand that, let's say, once you run a migration, once you apply a migration, then you probably proceed to modify the code even further to, maybe you change the entire code base to work with the things that you've added in this migration or deleted in this migration. So that cannot be a part of the migration.
Here, for example.
Yeah, so I think
No, no,
deleting,
not here. So
like deleting a Ruby class, or changing code in models or in controllers, that is not a part of the migration, and seeds are not part of the migration. But when it comes simply to database tables,
yeah, but if you change the code,
yeah,
then the backwards migration will not have the data in the database anymore if you delete something.
no, it won't. But the migration will still run up and down and back up.
Yeah, but you have to make sure when you go back, you populate that that deleted column or
Yeah,
whatever.
but what I'm saying is that you cannot. Okay, let's say if we talk about this, replacing these two models, or even just replacing one model, replacing orphan status with an enum in the model itself, right?
Yeah.
So as part of the change, the entire pull request, I had a migration that created those columns in the orphan model, populated them based on the other column, deleted the other column, deleted the seeds, deleted the model, changed views and controllers to use the enums instead of the models, right? But the only part of it that has to be reversible when you talk about migrations is the part that actually touches the structure of the database. So just because you reverse a migration doesn't mean that you should restore all the code in the controllers or in the views. Like, the migration is reversible, but it doesn't mean that it just restores your application to the previous state. This is only the migration of the database structure.
I see what you mean, but well, for example, you delete a column, then you do the reverse migration and it works, but if you want to update something and that column has a validation, you will not be able to update it because everything is nil.
Yeah.
Empty.
Yeah, and I think taking care of all of that is beyond the scope of, it's basically, it's impossible to encode all of this in a migration.
Yeah, also what I was thinking that every time we delete a column, how about we create a, I don't know, a backup database table and just copy the columns there for temporary, just in case we need them back. I mean, in the future, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's going to create a lot of stuff just kind of lying around collecting dust.
Well, yeah, but if you delete it and you need it back, you will not have it anymore. And if something goes wrong and you need it back, then it's a big problem. At least you have a backup this way.
Well, I think, okay. So you propose that we only do that on production, I assume?
Yeah. I mean, we need to test it, so.
Yeah. Well, production has, it has database backups.
Actually, yeah, it has database.
So I don't know if we need to. I mean, it's always a good idea maybe to create a special backup just before you actually run before you merge in the latest code.
Yeah, it's easier with the backups.
Yeah. So, just hopefully if something like this happens and breaks things, then we catch it quickly enough that we can go back. We can identify which backup should have the stuff that we want. And then we roll back the merged code, and then we restore the database from the backup.
Yeah, the only migration that doesn't have backups or rollbacks, or how those called, is this one, the status enums.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get the code back because I didn't have the seed. So the only chance to get it back is to just add the seeds here somewhere.
Yeah, you would basically have to do something like that, like you would.
And also I don't have orphan status model anymore.
Yeah.
I mean database.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I mean, as part of this migration to.
So we'll skip that, right?
I mean, if you wanted to reverse this migration, you could still do it because the table still exists at this point. The orphan status and orphan sponsorship status tables still exist.
How would they do?
Well, when this migration runs, when this particular migration runs.
Ah, yeah, when this runs, yeah. It's deleted after.
And in fact, there is nothing really. I mean, the only thing that you would have to. Sorry, let me go back here to that pull request. Let me have a look at. So what this migration does is it adds the two columns, right, and then populates them. So the reverse of that migration is exactly what, as it's defined, is just deleting those two columns.
Yeah, because we still have this.
Yeah, because the foreign keys still exist and those tables still
Yeah,
exist.
the reason I didn't have them anymore is because I went with the migration all the way up and then went down backwards here and I lost them. I lost this database. You know what I mean?
Right. Because yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one migration, if you run it, you can reverse it easily enough
Mm-hmm.
by
Yeah, you're
itself.
right.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Yeah.
let's.
So I'll try to I'll fast track. I didn't look at the other files yet. I only looked at the actual solution in this top migration here, and
Yeah,
I think it's fine. I think that migration, that fix should correct everything, at least as far as I can tell. But obviously, my judgment isn't
well, it
always.
worked. It worked on my machine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good sign. Okay, and the other ones, like basically, yeah, you've created. Um, uh, yeah, the first two, there is nothing much to say about them. And this one, you, yeah, okay, explicitly recreate the table. Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, there is not a hell of a lot of practical value, I guess, in these cases, but it's always good to follow standards or good code practices. So I
Yeah,
think
I just added them because I had to go back, and then I said, let's
right,
just keep them
right,
anyway.
right. Okay. So yeah, as far as I can tell, I think this is actually ready to be merged in. So we can do it. Uh, well, we can do it right now. In fact, there is nothing stopping us.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go here. And let's push it. Yeah, I'm trying to understand why my pull request is failing, because everything was green locally, but now it's telling me that there are problems with authentication.
Uh-oh. That's actually it's not mine because it's not merged. My pull request with the authentication is not merged.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not from that.
something else. I mean, I was thinking about that because I was when I was writing the view specs, um, I didn't like I didn't do a sign in as whatever. I just rendered the template and everything was fine. And I remember being a little bit surprised at that. So perhaps that's the part that's actually failing now in Semaphore, but I'm curious as to why it wasn't failing locally.
Hmm.
Anything else for us to talk about, guys? Well, I guess we can start discussing the screencast plan while.
I would like
Yeah.
to discuss something else first.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Sure.
so I wanted to start working on the filters today, but
Yeah.
I remember that we should discuss on how to proceed with that. Should we use a jam? Should we do it manually? What do you
Oh,
think?
what? Sorry, I didn't hear. What?
About the filters, we have to add the filters in the sponsor index view and the orphan index view.
In HQ.
Yes.
Okay, get it. There is I suppose there is a gym or something for that.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Should we use a gem or should we do it manually? What do you think?
What's the gem that we would be using? Because I remember we actually talked about a specific one, right?
Well, the thing is, there are hundreds of gems that do the
Ah,
searching part.
but there is one that ActiveAdmin uses. That was a candidate.
How is it called?
Ransack, is that it?
Ransack, yeah, Ransack.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I actually there are many that are very popular, like Elasticsearch and Solar, I think, or how is it called?
Yeah.
And the thing is that I don't have experience with this, but what I think is that they are only for huge databases that have, I don't know, millions of records, and
Mm.
only there it makes sense to use them. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we definitely want to avoid using any kind of a heavyweight solution.
Yeah, because but actually, if we can reuse something, it's better because that's right. Because well, we need filters for anything, to test fields, to dates, to maybe test process. So basically, to do it manually from scratch, I don't know. I don't you know. I'm not. I don't would like to do that.
The thing is that I would prefer to do it manually, because all you have to do is just do for the orphans, for example, you do orphans.where, and you add the filters in the where, right?
And just
Well, at least for
be
the most
very
most
careful
of them.
about sanitizing input, right?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we need to do it in a general way that we can reuse it very simple. Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, sure. I don't mind. So basically, it takes a little bit more time to do it and to test it, but I'm not against it.
Yeah,
Actually.
well, it would be nice to just do it manually, just to understand the process, and probably next time we'll do it
Mm-hmm.
with the gem. Well, if you
Yeah,
agree.
I agree with that. I think the experience is worth it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Okay. Well.
looked around a little, and I found this gem here that does searching and stuff, and also sorting for the columns that looks
Mm-hmm.
manual,
Hmm.
and the
Looks
search
good.
is the search here.
Well, we can always take a stab at it by hand, and if it looks like it's just way too much work for the kind of time limits that we're working with, then we can think about gems.
Yeah. I also found this in Railcast about adding search and working together with the sorting by column.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
explains it nicely.
All right. That sounds good. I'm sold. Let's give it a go by hand.
Mm-hmm. The other question is,
Yeah.
should we do it with Ajax, or should we do it like the old style?
I think ultimately, I think we want Ajax. We want this to be as user friendly as possible, but even when building Ajax, you generally start with, let's make it, let's just make it basic and then add Ajax as a follow-up solution. So I think that's the best strategy to use here too.
Yes, I agree with that. So let's do it just the old style for now, and Ajax will be future task.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think given that, given the wireframe of Christopher's, where he envisioned the whole thing being kind of like a single-page application, I think there's Ajax and at least some JavaScript that will have to make an appearance for sure.
Mm-hmm.
At least if we stick to his design and want to implement it, and I think we do because I think the ideas are good.
Yeah, definitely. If you click here and it appears here,
Right. Yeah.
it needs to be, yeah.
Yeah. And the filters, the whole filters panel is supposed to slide in and out. Yeah, and you definitely, ideally, when you click on a different record, you don't want to refresh the entire page just to update that right sidebar. You want just a synchronous update of the sidebar, but the rest of the page stays the same. So yeah, Ajax I think is the obvious, obvious way for the future.
Yep.
But yeah, let's start with just basic Rails and HTML.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So what I'm seeing here is that migration. Let's have a look. The migration.
Is this on the testing? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So here it is. Add status enums to orphan. And it appears to have migrated without any problems. So let's start up. This is staging. Do you have testing open, Christian?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Let me share it.
Okay. Yeah, I can access orphans on testing now.
Yep, working.
Okay.
And status, it was all active and all on console. I don't know that.
Yeah, I guess could have made a note.
Look, the last page has 2 sponsored for the sponsorship. The
last page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And let's see if they are in fact sponsored. Yep. They certainly appear to be. Okay. Well, looks good. Thanks for fixing that, Christian.
Oh, no problem.
That was definitely one of those things where, I was working on it and obviously doing everything sequentially.
Yeah.
And everything was fine.
Yeah, I didn't think of that either.
Yeah.
So, lesson learned. We'll remember this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of the way that you run migrations on your machine during development is not the same way that they're going to run once you actually deploy the code. Okay, valuable lesson learned. To quickly go over the screencast plan.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so what I have here, and like I said, I incorporated everything that you guys suggested.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I've captured everything that you wished in the way that you thought about it. So we start talking about OSRA itself and give them maybe just a slight background that the project technically has been around for about a year, but really has only been in very active development for September, October, November, December, like 7-8 months maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that the client is a nonprofit that's arranges sponsorships for orphans in Syria where there's ongoing civil war. And basically, yeah, to walk through what the application actually does. So this would be UI. We start out in a dashboard, then we talk about consecutively partners, sponsors, orphans, and sponsorships.
It's fine.
And then, so this is in place plans, and we have this idea about background tasks and the notification center, and then even further down the line, a public-facing site. Then the code base.
But is that the order to present the information? Because future plans, it should be in the below, right? Oh, is that?
Well, these future plans are more kind of business, in terms of business logic, in terms of what the application will do. Maybe not so much. I don't know. What do you think? Is this something that we move? Because this is kind of the discussion of what the application does now and what we hope the application will do in the future, and after that it gets down into the details of the code base and our workflow, etc.
Maybe to mention that the AA interface is not very suitable for all the changes we want to apply, and then to explain that we are moving to HQ or to develop all the controllers and view by OSRA. So that it's maybe the idea is to explain that.
Right, so the AAHQ stuff is down here where we talk about the code.
Okay.
So that's again, we'll then get into the code, talk about this. So these are basically the models that exist in our application and how they're interconnected.
Nice. Yeah, I agree.
This is be appropriate for something like that.
Maybe to mention, not to explain all the detail, or maybe the main points, but maybe just do the reference about the main things of the diagram of the model. That's it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't expect, or I hope not to go into too many details about anything, basically.
Okay.
What do you guys think is a realistic runtime for this video? Like, how long can we keep people's attention? Like 15, 20 minutes?
Well, the thing is, you can go as long as you want, because I can edit out as much as you want. So.
Yeah, but there's no point me talking and you guys listening if it's gonna end up on the floor at the end. So.
Yes, of course. But I think that 20 minutes should be max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be fine. There are 20 minutes. Try to be concise, and 20 minutes is more than enough, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
Normally 15 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, let's try to aim for short, and frankly, if somebody has questions at the end of it, they can hit us up on Slack and talk to us instead. So yeah, it's just a general description of the code base, just the models. I think this is important to mention that that we pay a lot of attention to data integrity and validity, because this is kind of the bread and butter of the application, is storing data and managing data. So that's very important to us. And yeah, and then we talk about AA and HQ.
Yeah.
And this is why I was asking Christian for the wireframe, because this is a good place to show it, and to, after we walk through this kind of gray table-like interface, I think to show that wireframe will be a pretty welcome change. And yeah, this is kind of more about how we deploy. But I think it's very standard to many projects, so we don't need to spend a lot of time here.
Yeah, just to mention those, and yeah. That's it.
Yeah. So yeah, this is just how everything is handled, but there is nothing big or surprising there. And team workflow, again, I think is fairly standard for what you get on Agile Ventures. That it's a distributed team, that all of our communication is through Slack and Google Hangouts, and using things like Jira and Confluence and GitHub. And yeah, pair programming, I think it's a good idea to mention that you know, we believe in it, even if we don't do it as often as we like.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fact that we talk to the client on a pretty regular basis as well. And this is something that, again, this is only if we have the time at the end. We can talk about some features that maybe are unique, or at least we had to specifically deal with them in OSRA. So this creation of service objects to reduce the bloating of the models. Now we're starting to rely on custom matchers, it seems, quite a bit more now that we're sort of creating more and more domain logic that is specific to OSRA itself. It becomes more and more relevant for us to create these custom matchers and use them. And yeah, this discussion about Cucumber versus RSpec, we still, I guess, haven't really settled on one versus the other, but yeah, and that's it. But yeah, definitely as short as we can make it.
I think at the end it's important to mention that yeah, we are trying to make the application, or we need to try to make things or to add functionality that is challenging, for us, to like a learning process to us, and try to add it to the functionality. So basically, we are always learning in the process of adding new functionality or learning new topic of stuff, or try to implement it in the system. So
yes, I think that's valuable for people who might want to join the project. It's an ongoing learning process, and also the fact that we, the people who work on an application, we don't claim to know everything. We still have to, kind of hack at it and learn to actually make it work. So yeah.
To mention, yeah, I think. But this, basically, in general, it's very nice. I mean, the contents. I think I agree. I agree with the proposal. Yeah.
Hi guys, sounds good.
Nick, can you go to the OSRA application page for the testing? I'm also viewing the recording live, and it's still not updated. Come on. It takes a few seconds to update.
Oh, when I switch from one tab to the other?
Yes, but
Yeah.
I think in the recording it will be like real time.
Yeah, I noticed that because I can see both my screen and the Hangouts screen. I see that there's definitely a delay from one to the other.
Now it's changed. Can you zoom in on the application, because it's very small here. You barely see the test.
Too far.
Wow. Maybe like 20% more.
Wait.
It's too much.
Where's this thing here?
Something like that.
Yeah, so it's 175. This is 200.
Yeah, put it at 150.
It's very nice. Yeah, the size is good. You can see it for example the name.
All right.
Yeah, I think this will be better.
Okay. Yeah. Let's remember that. Then. Okay. There we go. Okay. So that's it, guys. Then we'll do that thing on Thursday. Basically, let's hope that nothing major happens between now and Thursday, so that we don't have to actually have a scrum and we can dive right into the video.
Well, if we can start a new hangout and
Yeah. I just, I don't know how long the whole thing will take ultimately, and better
Yeah,
not
but
waste.
don't worry. We can edit the video or maybe short it a little bit. But at the end, it's not to worry about the time. I guess. So try to make 20 minutes video length, but it's not. It shouldn't be that exact time. So it's not.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys. So, see you on Thursday.
Okay, cool. This will be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
See you. Bye.